Hello and welcome to day 5 of our 12 days of Christmas patterns. In today's tutorial, we are going to be making the Christmas cactus ornament. This is a super fun, easy pattern to do, works up really quickly, and I can't wait to share it with you. So let's get into it. So for today's tutorial, I'm going to be using Baby Snuggle yarn. Like any of them, you can use any type of yarn for this this pattern, but I prefer using the chunky yarn. It's soft and cozy, and I just like the look of it. So I'm going to be using the sage color for the cactus part, this beige color called soft sand, and I'm going to be using this for the pot, and this brown color that's called teddy bear, and it is for the dirt. I'm also going to be using this white with silver size. It must be like a 1 or a 2 yarn for the details on the cactus, the spikes. We're also going to need a crochet hook. I'm going to be using my 5.5mm crochet hook from Crochet Society. We'll also need a pair of scissors, a darning needle, some fabric pins, some safety eyes, and these are 8mm safety eyes, just plain black. We'll need some fiber fill, and we'll also need probably about 12 inches of black medium weight yarn for the face details. So once we gathered all of our supplies, we can get into the pattern. All right, now to begin, we are going to start off with the main part of the cactus. So we're going to take our color A yarn, so for me it's going to be this green color, and our crochet hook. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a magic ring. Just like that. And once we have our magic ring, we are going to place 6 single crochets within the ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we will just pull that tight. Now, I didn't mention, of course, in the supplies, but we will need a stitch marker as well. I personally like to just use a scrap piece of yarn. I'm just going to use this medium weight yarn here. And I just place my yarn right in front of my last stitch of the previous row to mark the beginning of each row. So for round 2, what we're going to do is we're going to place an increase stitch in each stitch around. So an increase stitch is 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. So we're going to insert and place 1 single crochet, and then we're going to insert right back into that same stitch and place another single crochet. So that's 2. We're going to repeat that for each stitch around, and you should have a stitch count of 12 at the end of round 2. So there's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there is our round 2 done. And I just bring my stitch marker up and carry it over to the next round. Now moving on to round 3, we're going to do the combination single crochet 1 and an increase in the next. Single crochet and an increase in the next stitch. Now we're going to repeat this 6 times, and our stitch count at the end of round 3 should be 18. Single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, and one more time, single crochet and increase. Perfect. Now moving on, for rows 4, 5, 6, and 7, so 4 rows total, we're going to place 1 single crochet around. So we're going to single crochet 18 for each round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So just continue around just like that for rows 4 through 7, and I'll meet you back here for round 8. All right, so that is rows 1 through 7 completed. Now we'll move on to round 8. So for round 8, we're going to start doing our decrease rounds. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the combination single crochet 1 and a decrease stitch. So we'll do single crochet. Now I like to do invisible decrease for mine. So what that is you're going to go into this next stitch here. You're just going to go into the front loop only. And then you're going to go into the next stitch after that in the front loop only again. Yarn over and pull through. Yarn over and pull through. So you just made 2 stitches into 1. Now we'll repeat that, single crochet and a decrease. Front loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. We'll repeat this a total of 6 times, and our stitch count at the end of round 8 should be 12. Single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease, and single crochet, decrease. All right, just going to stuff my yarn end here into the sides so that it doesn't get in my way. Now moving on to rows 9 and rows 10, we're going to do single crochet 12. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around for rows 9 and 10. So I will complete these off camera and I will meet you back here for round 11. All right, so that is up to round 10 completed. Now moving on to round 11, which is our final round, we're going to do the combination single crochet and decrease again. So single crochet and decrease. And this time we're going to repeat it a total of 4 times. Single crochet, decrease. And at the end of this round, you should have 8 stitches. Single crochet, decrease, single crochet, and decrease. And that is round 11 complete. And there is our top piece of our cactus completed, the larger piece. So I'm just going to remove my stitch marker here. And what I like to do is I just like to insert my hook into this next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and I'm just going to cut my yarn probably maybe about 12 inches so that I can sew that on. And I'm going to pull through that loop and I'm just going to pull all the way through. And that's going to create a little knot and end off that last stitch. So that is that part completed. All right, moving on, we're going to do the smaller section of the cactus now. So same color yarn. We're going to start off again with a magic ring. And once we have our magic ring, we're going to place 4 single crochets inside the ring. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll pull that tight. And again, I'm going to just place my stitch marker. Now moving on to round 2, we're going to do an increase stitch in each stitch around. So that's 2 single crochets in each stitch around for a total of 8 stitches at the end of round 2. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. For rounds 3, 4, and 5, so that's 3 rows, we're going to do 8 single crochets. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's round 3. So I'm going to complete rounds 4 and 5 off camera in the exact same way, and we'll meet back here for round 6. All right, so this is rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now for round 6, we're going to do the combination single crochet and decrease. So single crochet and a decrease, same way we did it in the larger cactus. We're going to do that again. Single crochet, decrease, and then in the final 2 stitches, we're just going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch. So 1 and 2. And that is that section complete. So I'm just going to remove my stitch marker. Same thing, I'm just going to insert in the next stitch over, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. I'm going to cut 10 to 12 inches, and I'm just going to pull that all the way through. And there is the second section completed of our cactus. So once we have both sections of our cactus, we are going to sew them together, sorry. So I like to place my small cactus piece around row 4, 5, and 6 of the large cactus on the side. Now you can place yours anywhere you want. It does not have to be here. This is just where I've decided I want it to be. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some of my fabric pins, and I'm just going to kind of pin this in place. Now be careful because there's no stuffing, so you might poke yourself with this guy. But that's kind of what I'm looking like. So I'm going to grab my darning needle, and I'm going to put my smaller cactus piece yarn end on the darning needle. And I'm just going to make sure 1, 2, 3, so 4, 5, and 6. So that looks good. So I'm just going to start sewing this on. Now once I'm happy with the placement, all I like to do is I just like to grab a little piece of yarn here on the big cactus, and I'm just going to leave a loop, and I'm going to make a little knot here, and that's just going to secure this a little bit more, just make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And then I'm just going to weave my yarn tail right through here, and I'm just going to trim it a little bit because it is a little long. And I just like to stuff that right inside. And there is our cactus complete. All right, moving on, we are going to start off now making the soil. So we're going to start off with our brown yarn, and we're going to make a magic ring. Now once we have our magic ring, we are going to place 8 single crochets within the ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we'll just pull that tight if it will let us here. Let me pull it. There we go. And I'm going to place my stitch marker. Now moving on to round 2, we are going to do an increase round. So we're going to place an increase stitch in every single stitch around for a total of 16 stitches at the end of round 2. So same way we did the cactus, so 2 stitches in 1. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And that is round 2 completed. Now moving on to round 3, we're going to do the combination single crochet 1 and an increase stitch. Single crochet, increase. We'll repeat this 8 times for a stitch count of 24 at the end of this round. Alright, that is round 3 complete. Now for rows 4 and 5, we're going to do single crochet 24. So that's 1 single crochet in each stitch around for 2 rows, rows 4 and rows 5. So I will finish this off camera and I'll meet you back here for round 6. And that is up to round 5 complete. Now moving on to round 6, we're going to start decreasing. So we're going to do the combination single crochet 1 and decrease. And we're going to repeat that, single crochet, decrease. And we're going to repeat this a total of 8 times. So your stitch count at the end of this round should be 16. Alright, now before we move on to the final round of our soil here, we're just going to stuff it. So I'm just going to take my fiber fill here and I'm just going to stuff this. It's not very big, so it doesn't take a lot. Just start stuffing and then I will add some more before we close up. So we will just move on now. Once you're finished stuffing, we'll move on to the final round, which is round 7. And round 7 is a decrease round. So we're going to do a decrease stitch in each stitch around for a total of 8 decreases. And at the end of this round, you should have 8 stitches. So there's 2. There's 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm just gonna take out my stitch marker here, and same thing I did with the cactus, I'm just going to insert my hook into the next stitch, pull that through. That was the end of my ball and it was the perfect amount of yarn, so that's great. Now I'm just going to take a little bit more stuffing here just to fill this. Just want to make sure my edges are all full. Just like that. And then once I am happy with how much stuffing I have, we will close up this hole that is remaining. So how I like to do that is I just like to take a smaller sized crochet hook. So this is a 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go underneath the front loop of each stitch. And I'm going to grab my yarn and just pull it through. And then I'm going to go into the next stitch under the front loop only. Sometimes for some reason they can be hard to get into. Pull that through and just go all the way around, and every few stitches I'll pull it a little bit tighter and you'll notice that your hole's going to start closing up. And this yarn does fall apart sometimes, so you can see here I've lost some yarn. So to close this up finally, I'm just going to grab my yarn here. I'm going to just pull it through and create a little knot here. And pull out any of that stuffing that came with it. And then I'll just take my scissors and I'm just going to cut that. And then I'm just going to weave that end in. My hook is caught on the inside here, which happens all the time. And there is our soil. All right, the last thing we're going to crochet is the pot. So I'm going to be using this beige color, but grab whatever color you're going to be using for this part of the project. And again, we're going to start off with a magic ring. And once we have our magic ring, we are going to make 8 single crochets inside the ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Let's pull that tight. And again, grab our stitch marker. All right, moving on to round 2, we are going to be doing an increase round, and that means 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So 1 and 2. You can do that all the way around, and you should have 16 stitches at the end of round 2. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So there's round 2 completed. Now moving on to round 3, we are going to do the combination single crochet 1 and increase. Single crochet, increase. Do this a total of 8 times. You should have 24 stitches at the end of round 3. There you go. Now for round 4, what we're going to do is we're going to do single crochet 24. But the difference with this round is we're only going to be crocheting into the back loop of each stitch. So if you look on top here, each stitch has 2 loops, front loop and the back loop. We're only going to go into the back loop of each stitch with 1 single crochet. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And what that's going to do is going to create this little ridge here. That's going to be the bottom of our pot. Now moving on, rows 5, 6, and 7, so 3 rows, we're just going to do 24 single crochets like we normally would. So into both of the loops on the top, 24 single crochets for rounds 5, 6, and 7. I will complete this off camera and I'll meet you back here for round 8. Alright, that is up to round 7 complete. Now we're going to move on to round 8. So for round 8, we're going to do the combination single crochet 2 and a decrease stitch. So 1, 2, and a decrease. And we're going to repeat this a total of 6 times. And you should have a stitch count of 18 at the end of round 8. Decrease. 1, 2, decrease. 1, 2, decrease, and last one, 1, 2, decrease. For round 9, we're going to do single crochet 18. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Now for our last round, round 10, we're going to do the combination single crochet 4 and a decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease, and we'll repeat this a total of 4 times, or sorry, 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and decrease, and your stitch count should be 15 at the end of this round. 1, 2, 3, 4, and decrease. Perfect. And that is the end of the pot. So we're going to remove our stitch marker. Same thing, just going to slip stitch into the next stitch. And just going to cut my yarn tail there and pull that all the way through. And there is our little cactus pot. Alright, so once we have our pot completed, we're just going to place our eyes. So I like to place my eyes on rows 6 and 7 of the body, or the pot here. So I'm just going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 and 7 is right here. So I'm just going to place one eye just to anchor my spot of where the eye should be. Now we're going to have 3 to 4 stitches in between our eyes. So if I place my first one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, so maybe here, you can kind of just move it around. It does not have to be exactly how I've done it. I'm going to probably do mine right there. And once I'm happy with that, I'll just place my backings on. Like that. And there are my eyes. Okay, so now we're going to attach our smile. So I'm going to take my medium weight yarn and my darning needle, and we're going to start by attaching or pushing our darning needle through into the top of round 6, which is right here. So right in between our eyes, centered. So we're going to place it, we want it to be about 2 stitches from each eye. So I'm just going to insert my needle right here and pull that through. Now I'm going to go over and down, so over about 1 stitch and down 1 row, and then I'm going to push my needle up 1 row and over again 1 stitch. So we should be about 2 rows or 1 to 2 rows from the side as well. And then we're going to just push our needle right back down into where we started our smile, and then we're going to push that through, just like that. And there's our smile. So I'll take my darning needle off, and I'm just going to tie a very, very light knot. You don't want to tie it too tight because it will pull your project, your smile, too tight and you won't be able to see it. And I'm just going to cut that long piece of yarn. And with my smaller needle here, hook, I'm going to just weave in those ends. Now if it does pull when you weave them in, you can just pull those out a little bit. And just stuff all that inside. And there is our smile and our eyes attached. All right, before we put it all together, we're going to just do our little extra pieces on our cactus here. So I'm just going to take my yarn that I'm doing that with, which is this like white with little silver flecks in it. And I'm going to just put it on my darning needle. Now you can use a small darning needle for this small yarn, but this works as well. And basically what we're going to do is what we just did for the smile everywhere. So we're just going to do little V's wherever really you want. Now there is no right or wrong to this. Just do what makes you happy and how you want it to look. So I'm just going to start by inserting my hook here, my needle, go up and over. You can also do it this way. And then when that one's done, I'm going to go down over here because I want one over here. Same thing. And then I'll go do one over here. And we'll just add as many as you want. This is totally personal preference on, these are just the little pricklies on the cactus, so. And try not to pull too tight or they will get kind of lost in your bulkier yarn. So I just pull them out a little bit if I do notice that it's happening. And once you're happy with that, I just push my yarn back to where I started. And then I'm just gonna go through and pull all my pieces out, make sure that they're all kind of how I want them to be. And then I'm just going to tie a very light knot again, same as with the smile, very light because you don't want it to pull the pieces too tight into the fluffy yarn and then you won't be able to see them. And I'm just going to cut that. And then I will just weave that in. Just like that. And again, I'm just going to go through and make sure that these are all visible. And there we go. Now we're going to take our soil and our darning needle and we're going to attach our cactus to the soil. So this guy's going to sit right in the center of the soil, right on round 1, just like this. Now it is a little bit heavier, so you probably won't be able to attach it with fabric pins, but if you'd like to attach it with fabric pins to make sure you have the right spot, then do that. But I'm just going to sew mine on and just make sure that I'm always checking here that the placement is where I want it to be. Sew the front on. And then once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to tie a little knot, just same as I do with my other things. And then I'm just going to push my yarn through the bottom. Take my scissors and cut. And just push that in. And there is our soil attached to our cactus. Now the next thing I'm going to quickly do is I'm just going to take my ribbon to hang it on the tree. And I'm going to put that through the very top row of my cactus. So just put it on however you kind of want it to hang on the tree. So like this, and then I just tie a little bow if I can. So first a knot. Just gotta even these out because they're not even. And you can add a little piece of hot glue as well here to make sure the ribbon stays. And then I'm just going to do a little bow. Again with hot glue gun to keep the bow in place, because it doesn't usually like to stay in place, especially with this like slippery ribbon. So if you are gifting this to someone or if you're selling these, I would definitely make sure they're secured. So there's my little ribbon, and the very last thing that we have to do is we're just going to weave in the end here of our pot. So I'm just going to take my darning needle and I'm just going to weave this down a few stitches on the inside of the pot where you can't see it. And just stuff that in there. And then you want to make sure that you're putting your soil in so that the cactus is facing towards the eyes. This might be a little bit harder to get in just because the pot is a little bit smaller at the top, and that's just to keep the soil in once it's there. So once you have it kind of where you would like it, and there you have your finished cactus Christmas ornament. I hope you guys really enjoyed this Christmas ornament and the other ones thus far. I can't wait to show you the ones that I have coming. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye!